What's going on, YouTube? Time for a quick recap. So, as we get into today, if you watched the last YouTube, we were talking potential consolidation, golden pocket watch. Let's see how we played out. Of course, we've locked in P&L all together. What do you have? 3,500 bucks today. My son's 8th birthday is today, so I won't be trading live, trading crazy, posted about it in the old Discord here, but just going through with their P&L staked. We had a couple really good calls and Ys. We had some anchors that we'll go over here, and I put a lot of notes on the screen for the chat today. I think I deleted most of them on SPY, but we'll go over them anyway. I forgot to save the one, but my crew knows, and what we went over today was the ES weekly tag, and I said the highest point of the move will be 5,836.60. We covered this in our pre-market breakdown today. If you go to the weekly chart, that was this week right here of 3.3. We also talked about this on the tubes. So if you take a Fibonacci high-low from that weekly, you notice 5,836.60 and some change, whatever you want to do, is the no tag 50 from the weekly right here on 3.3. So the long, anything over this GP and pushing from last week, we're going to move up to here. Well, that's it's good and bad. The dead cat bounce is alive and well, but will definitely come back. So we have some 1 minute targets above, and we definitely picked the top today. So let's get in some of the other trades that we had seen today on the old SPY. So intraday, as we said in the last video, we said go high to low Fibonacci, right? 570.21 yesterday's lows, 575.17 yesterday's highs. And then we had some notes here. Our entire development, we had some data today at 9 a.m., was over under yesterday's highs. The data, where is that so high? A high-low range there. We had a couple no GP tags. What we did is we took the data, fed it to the upside, and played two different plays. I forgot to go over the X with you guys. Sorry. Let me bring that back up. If it ever decides to. Hey, there we go. All righty. Let me cover this one first. Sorry, guys. Watch trend to lower high failure short to the 200 SMA. My original trade plan pushed out today. See if I can't blow that up. We always try to. Kind of hard to read. Looking short to yesterday's highs, filling the gap up from pre 491.50 short target QQQ, target one short, then watch trend, and then of course the next trade plan was to go down to the 200 SMA. So this is QQQ's pre-market. I was short right here, called it at lower high all the way down to yesterday's highs, and then VWAP, that was the opening morning short we played. Got some PNL there. And then the second short I posted out for the group, I said watch trend to lower high failure, short under short target to 200 SMA daily. So we were looking over under yesterday's highs, as we just explained. Sorry, let me get into that one first. So those were the calls we made for the chat and in the pre-market. So this pre-market high into this lower high, see right here, as we just discussed, the top of the fib, 575.17, orange dash line right there, yesterday's highs as well. The 200 SMA daily was our target short, as you've seen, as we predicted. That clicked in right here. So the big purple fuchsia line, this is the 200 SMA, right? And of course, yesterday we had finally back tested it and tagged that big fuchsia dashed line. And then we had a big run up, which we said to look for over under the golden pocket. If it ranged all the way up, well, we'll just deal with it on a gap and go, or, excuse me, what we posted, absolutely no gap and go on the X, and that's why we shorted the lower high out of the gate. Target one was yesterday's highs, then VWAP, excuse me, and then the 200. Now, the GP down here was still not tagged, so the only trade plans I left my crew with was over under yesterday's highs being the biggest precursor, because right now down to the golden pocket under yesterday's highs is very strong and very viable. So when we popped over yesterday's highs, I said, okay, well, just look for that trend, guys. I mean, we had the QQQ looking a little better. We were over on QQQ today. So let's go over the jobs. I'm sorry, not jobs. 9 a.m. data here. There we go. So high-low on the 5 minute here is what we did. 9 a.m. data came out, consumer confidence, little mixed basket. So we had a decent sized 5-minute candle. Okay. We held the 100 EMA again here in the green on the 5-minute chart and pushed up after we hit that data. We pushed up, and then you see my little red candle here saying we talked about a short right here as well, because of course you fib out the high low, the data candle on the 5-minute, you move up to the 1618. If it finds resistance, which it did, we talked about 1, 2, 3 candles closing, 4 under that 1618, one more low scam, but that's because that 10 SMA was catching up, and we wanted to short down into that. So the blue level right here is the 10 SMA 5-minute. So we broke over that, ran into 1618 resistance, and then cracked under that 10 and came back. Usually the first tag is a scalp bounce, which it was. The first tag ended up being support. Then we slowly closed under that beautiful 1618 from the consumer confidence data, and little mixed basket, and then we called short. So we did return back to the golden pocket, back to yesterday's highs. As we said yesterday, I'll put the link in the description for yesterday's prediction and video, but we said there was a good chance that we might not get too far away from this gap up candle. Let's make this a little easier to see here. So this gap up candle, obviously from yesterday, I said, well, we just got to watch for mainly like a little side day here. A lot of the times it might be on the low side, it might be on the high side. It was on the high side today, but a lot of the times we're not going to get big continuation without like good data. In a double gap and go scenario, from how weak everything is and the sentiment, very lackluster. So that's another big reason we said there was going to be no big gap and go, and we shorted right out of the gate on the QQQ for that lower high down to yesterday's high. So it was kind of a guaranteed trade there for us. We like those. So right now the trend all the way back down to VWAP popped again, creating a big lower high, cracking, finding again break in structure. Yesterday's high is starting to crack down again to, well, we'll see where it goes. We have a 3 down move potential. So what would I have done with the trade? Well, the data here was the high low at 9 a.m. Let's move that over so we can see. And then, of course, that high low on the gold box. I actually want to do this on SPY where we were initially. I just want to show you the Q's trades. Back to the normalcy, because this was the main target for the 200. This was the whole kit and caboodle for today, and that's why we did the predictions on X. So I lied. Move back over. Okay, same thing. 9 a.m. data, high low. Must stay over VWAP for long. We're just putting some notes here like we always do for the chat. So if you guys see these little text bases, must stay over VWAP for long. That was one of the precursors I told my chat, where if we're not trending over yesterday's highs in the VWAP with conviction, looking for our long targets higher, we weren't going to get that long. So when you see that break of the VWAP, and we noted way before we left at 10 a.m. today, we said, well, on this big push, that's all fine and dandy. The pre-market high, which we had noted right here, was going to be a good short scalp area as well. That matched up with failing the 1618 on SPY here from the data. So again, fibbing out that high low, pushing up, hit the 1618. We called pre-market high, and then of course right back down to the GP. So what's next? Well, that short, we said, because this long failed, and of course the long, like we're going to delete right now, but we long had to be over VWAP. And the trend for us, if it was not over this orange dash line, which is yesterday's highs, 575.17, or the VWAP and the purple dash, we could not go long. So it came back down to do what? Try to test confirmation, right? Because we broke over the VWAP right here, ran into some resistance like pre-market high, and came down to support. Well, first couple of 5-minute charts started to build some wicks, tapped into that VWAP, and then snapped through. Okay, well, we were looking for a trend. It doesn't matter if it taps VWAP. We definitely weren't longing that, right? We already tagged VWAP. It's not a first tag algo, anything like that on deck for us. So as the note said, needs to be above yesterday's highs of VWAP to long. If it does not do that, we're not looking for that, because if we get trapped under, let's delete this, yesterday's highs, we are going to the golden pocket. That's the call. So the bounces that are happening right now on that 200 SMA daily right here and right here, that should let go now, because the trend down, 1, 2, 3, the third push down is going to end up at 573.27, at least for the golden pocket like we talked about in the last video. Because if we get stuck under yesterday's highs and we start the trend to the downside, we are under the volume weighted average price, we are under yesterday's highs. Right now we are under that 100 EMA 5-minute, all leading to trend dominant downside. Even after we hit a lower low of the day, pushing up for a lower high, we do have much needed trend to retrace to the golden pocket. The golden pocket for us, remember, is yesterday's highs to lows on Fibonacci, and we only use the 618 to 3820. That's the pocket that we use. So when we see that on the daily chart, that's what we look for. So what's the rest of the prediction? Well, we said that we were going to look for mainly consolidation, right? Because we had to confirm strength at the 200. We just finally pushed into it. When something tags into something, it kind of slows down. We got to confirm, right? So having another day, as we talked about in the last YouTube video, link will be in the description, we said that it was most likely going to put an inside day, maybe low side, maybe high side, and hope for a GP. Now, again, doesn't matter if we get that GP or not. We're more biased off seeing the 200 SMA be a over under than we are the gap up candle. Now, both are very strong, but the 200 SMA daily kind of takes precedent over this one, not by much, but because it is a back test where the price action was coming from a break of the 200 into meeting the 200, right? So back here, we broke it. So confirmation coming back to the 200 needs to be made for clear trend. So we did hit the low, higher low. Now we're on the gap and go to the upside, and everybody's big question mark in the thought process here, going, well, are we just gonna V up and shoot, or is this thing gonna actually take a little bit and dip into the gap and then go? Because usually a lot of the time when we get a gap and go, especially in a weak trigger like this where sentiment is very ugly and bearish, and then we get a gap and go because of the speculation of something coming April 2nd, tariffs, right? We could usually put in a slow day, maybe even a low day where it touches that gap, maybe back to the 200 EMA, wink, wink, since we resistance, gapped over, right? So if we lose the 200 SMA, this is the prediction. If we lose that 200 SMA, we're going to come down to that GP even today. Pretty confident because we didn't break up to our target here, and I'm looking for 577.76 this week. It does not say today, tomorrow, next. It is this week. We are looking for the confirmation. So if we lose that 200 SMA daily fuchsia, we'll go down to the 200 EMA, the fuchsia. This is the SMA with the bigger dashes. EMA is the tiny dashes. So we use both. Now, if that 200 SMA breaks, we're going to see that GP obviously first of the gap up candle here from 324. It's going to break into those highs, come to the golden pocket, and then if it rallies, great, fine. We held the gap up candle's GP, and we can move to the 1618, which is also in the same place is our weekly GP hit that we want to see. That is our long target at 577.76. Now, if we do not hold that GP, we put down maybe a lazy day, right? Because VIX is at a bounce point, wink, wink. So this is the second part of what I told my chat for part of this prediction was, well, if that VIX gets that bounce point, we're going to see a pretty gnarly attempt. I don't know where my screen went here. Might have deleted them all. It's okay. We'll bring up the VIX here. And this is why we also went short. So volatility index, we've covered this before, but just a quick little refresher. This day right here, 221, we did a fib to the upside, and we said watch it go up. 1618, 2618, topped out at $29, being the 361.8. Well, we've been at a steady, constant downtrend, right? As the market is attempting a bounce, getting fear out of the way, digesting tariff news. But what do we know about golden pockets? Well, look at that candle we did the fib high-low on, like always. This middle point is $17.16. That's the 50. Do you see a tag right there after this candle was made on 221? So 224, right? Friday, Monday, 224. Do you see a golden pocket tag? Nope. You see a channel tag. It's inside the top of the pocket, but it didn't actually hit the perfect 50 support. So back weeks later on, as in today, we have that same fib. And I alerted everybody this morning and said, guys, there is a very big VIX support ready for a golden pocket move right here at $17.16. If the VIX pops right over that, we're going to slam up and we're going to go chasing those other fibs. Well, lo and behold, it topped out to almost to the penny of $17.60 to the golden pocket top. Mister, I can't do technical analysis on VIX. That's impossible. Yeah, okay. We do it all day, every day. And anybody else that can't, I'll teach you. Come on, links in the description. So as we bounce at $17.60, as we called, it was going to go up to $17.60 again, just adding merit to that beautiful short open as we were shorting pre-market down to yesterday's highs, killing off a common gap. So with that being said, today, my guess is we're going to flirt with the 200 SMA daily a little bit, snap through it, end up down here at the golden pocket. And then what the VIX does is going to lead us to two different scenarios. Are we going to snap through the golden pocket, end up at the 200 EMA where that gap is going to be tested? Because remember, the gap up on the daily chart here exists through the 200 EMA in the long dash line. So we have tagged it as support and resistance 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and we have no back test of confirmation. So if this just runs, which is perfectly fine, I don't care, we're going to get a back test of it eventually, because this dead cat bounce that is going to fling us back up, we have all of our targets for our crew. We know exactly where it's going to go, and we're going to start our shorts accordingly. Well, keep following on, like and subscribe if you want to go through those, because we're going to go through some more targets later on in the videos here, especially this week. So this gap up right here, two scenarios as we've been talking. We lose the 200 down to the EMA to the fake gap fill, which means this price action could lose the gap up candle, come into the 200 EMA, which is a back test because we just talked about it, hitting at resistances a million times, comes into the gap, hits that, then goes, or do we just hold the gap up golden pocket and then go? Well, doesn't matter to me. Both scenarios are done and we already made our money for today. So we're going to sit here, let the close be the close, and our two theses are going to be very easy. If we are still above the 200 SMA daily, see at 577.76 with data. If we break below that 200 SMA daily and we hit into the golden pocket becomes resistance. I'll see you at the 200 EMA in the gap. If you want to see me trade this stuff live, narrate it, post those trade sentiment call. Those are not entry exits. Those are not free trades. I'm not an alert service. Please do not have that mentality joining. That is a loser mentality. If you want to learn why we have the sentiments where we are, where our over-unders are, why I'm calling the trades that we played, that is exactly what you need to do. So that'll be it for today. Links in the description if you want to watch live. If not, leave a comment on this. Join us on our Saturday live stream to win $50. We give away top step accounts every single weekend with our free YouTube classes. If that sounds good, hey, we'll see you there. Drop a comment. And if not, just tune into the next YouTube video for free. Leave a comment if you want me to cover something for you on YouTube on free. We'll do it all. You guys take care. Trade safe. Thanks for tuning in.